11 mosque normally gives the call for prayer, which is early in the morning at 5:30, 6:30, and then it's about 1 o'clock, then 4:10, then when sunset, and then an hour and 10 minutes later.
I've had incidents where people has moved into the area where they complain of the calling for prayer going off.
When foreigners started to buy the houses in Bo-Kaap, they started to complain, especially in the morning. We wake them up, but it's also understandable that everybody's not used to it, but also they must get used to the culture.
His problem was that he doesn't want the loud calling for prayer to go off, but he's moved in 3 houses away from the mosque. We had public meetings about it, and the community just feels that they're moving into our area. They're coming from another country into our area. And they should really accept the area that they live in.
That call for prayer in the morning is part of our religion. It's part of us being a Muslim. It's part of our 5 pillars of Islam. Nobody, and for nobody, we will ever change that.
There's always a little sort of spiritual tingle that I feel coming here. I mean, it's particularly interesting or fascinating coming here with you and having to talk about it. I mean, it's one thing if I come here and I drive through or walk through, then the thoughts and feelings are internal to my mind and my heart and my emotions. But to be here talking about it sort of means that I'm letting it out.
Well, this is where I grew up. This is where I was born. This was home. Yeah, I suppose this street is a special place because it used to be our playground. We played Kenneki and we played steps and we played all sorts of stuff. Yeah, and this is what sort of shaped my early growing up years.
For a child, it's a great place to be in. I mean, growing up there as a kid, you know, because your neighbors would look after you, people living next door would be caregivers, and everybody would trust each other. I mean, there was a great sort of feeling of connectedness and cultural bond between and amongst people. Everything in Bo-Kaap centers around the mosque. In most cases, after you are born and you are named, your naming ceremony takes place in the mosque. In my mid-teens, late teens, I was very, very active in the local community as on the mosque committee. So yes, I was connected to the mosque. I was very active around it, and I led all sorts of prayers, and I was regarded to potentially become a local imam in the mosque. So I was religious in that sense. But I became liberated from it, sort of. And I think it's the political activism that liberated me from that, because the more and more I became politically active, the less time I had to sit on the mosque committee, because sitting on the mosque committee was doing more of the same. Yet I was seeing and learning things about other communities, about other value systems, about other sort of political systems, about ideas, about thoughts and about debates, stuff that just wasn't happening in the mosque or in the mosque committee. And then I graduated more to sort of broader political consciousness and activism against apartheid. So in the 80s, early 80s, I was central to forming the United Democratic Front branch there. To make it part of a broader sort of political discourse and political kind of campaign was a struggle within itself. Because the community was so introverted, politically the community was conservative, and not open to political change or social change easily. And that is essentially just led to more and more stagnation. So those of us who were more broadly socially aware in the late 70s, and those of us who went to university became sort of more conscious, had to battle to make the people of Bo-Kaap understand that they are part of a broader political society.
It was boiling around the sea. It was boiling all on the day. So I ran to the Lord. I said, Lord, hide me. Please hide me. Please help me all on that day. He said,
I was in detention for a year. I was never charged, right? So there was no charges laid. You were just picked up and parked in Victor Verster prison. You're not convicted. So you're not serving a sentence that you know starts now and will end then. I mean, you never knew when we were going to come out, because that was the state of emergency regulation. They pick you up and they keep you. Once they let me go, but literally only to the gate of prison. Once you got at the gate, they rearrested you, and we came back in. So those are all emotional things that was laid a lot of pressure on you. There were only two people who could visit you under the laws at the time. The one was your parents, your mother or your father, and the other was the local imam or the priest in your church if you were Christian. And if you stuck away in prison for a year with not seeing anyone, not part of the world out there anymore, you're just sitting in a prison cell, you expect the people who can come visit you to come. And I sent many messages to the local imam of the mosque where I was active in, saying I would like to see him, I'd like to talk, I'd like him to visit. And he never came once. That I still, for now, do not know where that lack of support, or why there was such a lack of support at all. Because the moment I was released and I went back home, I got like a massive welcome. Everyone was there. But at the period of heightened political kind of activity and repression, people withdraw. I don't know if they're scared or what, but they just weren't forthcoming. And that made me angry, and that sort of said to me, this cocooned life that these people are living is just, something that they need to be liberated out of. And I just sort of felt I had to do it for myself first, which I did.